You're welcome. This is Newsfile. It's your most authoritative news analysis platform. And here on Newsfile, as always, we put Ghana first. Now, if you go to the Office of Special Prosecutor website, you will see a number of press statements and reports that have been issued. One of the statements reads, illegal mining. That's the heading. And it's dated Monday, 10th October 2022. It says the Office of the Special Prosecutor has commenced an investigation into suspected corruption and corruption-related offenses in respect of illegal small-scale mining. The investigations target some officials of the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources and the Forestry Commission. It also targets the activities and expenditure of the dissolved Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, especially in respect of the seizure and management of excavators, machinery, road vehicles, and gold nuggets. The investigation includes the active and ongoing inquiry into allegations of use of public office for profit against Charles Bisu during his tenure as secretary to the committee, arising from an investigative documentary titled Galamsey Fraud, Part 1, published by Tiger Eye PI. The investigation further targets the activities of Akonta Mining Limited and other companies, nationals of foreign countries, allegedly involved in illegal mining and allegations of corruption and corruption-related offenses against some municipal and district chief executives and political party officials. Signed, Kissi Agyebeng, Special Prosecutor, 10th October 2022. Now, shortly, I'll read yet another statement that references this statement, which was issued this year. But the man under whose hand these statements were issued is right here in the studio. Mr. Kissi Agyebeng, we are privileged to have you on the show this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Great. Now, as you know, Kissi Agyebeng spent decades, over a decade or so, doing his work as a lawyer and having, a special focus on criminal law. He also had been teaching at the University of Ghana Law School for many years in that area. He's co-authored, a book and has been acknowledged as someone who knows what he is about when it comes to this area. This morning, he will answer all of your questions about the developments in connection with investigations by his office in corruption-related matters as far as Galamsey is concerned, and the thorny issue, the issue that is almost dividing this country as far as Professor Frimpong Boateng's arrest is concerned.
At sea and on land, we have eyes everywhere. We see it all. When you're involved in corruption and think you're hiding, we will get you.
Welcome back. My next read is also on the OSP website. Illegal mining updates, dated Tuesday, the 2nd of May, 2023. And it says, on October 10, 2022, the Office of the Special Prosecutor published that it had commenced investigations into suspected corruption and corruption-related offenses in respect of illegal mining. It was stated that the investigation targeted the activities and expenditure of the dissolved Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, especially in respect of the seizure and management of excavators, machinery, road vehicles, and gold nuggets, and officials of the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, the Forestry Commission, and other public officials and private persons. The OSP acknowledges the recent calls for action and investigations into these matters by the public and civil society following the publication of a report on parts of these matters authored by a former Minister for Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation and head of the dissolved committee. The OSP welcomes the calls for action and investigations, and it assures the public and civil society that its investigation is ongoing and far-reaching, and it also covers the matters raised in the report published by the head of the dissolved committee. The OSP will take necessary action against all persons deemed culpable of corruption and corruption-related offenses in the mining sector. Signed, Kissi Agyebeng, Special Prosecutor, May 2, 2023. So, how far has this investigation gone?
Exactly what it says in the second publication. See, it is very far-reaching, as I keep saying, and it has engulfed us as a nation. And so we are leaving no stones unturned. Our gloves are off, and we are coming against everyone and every person who we think should be dragged in before us. Every person.
Everyone and every person.
Yes.
Who are the persons that have so far appeared before you as far as these matters are concerned?
You know something, and this is very dicey because it's a live investigation. It is still ongoing, and sometimes depending on what you put out in public, you might jeopardize the nature of the investigation. For instance, if I say I have directed you to appear before the OSP, then someone who is your associate may be thinking, no, they are next. Okay. Yeah, and so because of that, I wouldn't want to go into detail. But several persons have appeared before us already, and many more persons are going to appear before us. See, you know very well that this issue is very dear to the nation. And if people were paying attention, and I'm very glad that you read our publications, way back in October last year, we made an announcement that we had commenced the investigation. Maybe people didn't take notice, or maybe people didn't take it serious, but we are fighting this, and we are going to see to the end of it. Mm.
So, perhaps no names, and we know some of the names, and we'll be sharing them in the course of these discussions, about how many people have been investigated or are being investigated, about how many more, as you said, many more people will appear before you. About how many more do you expect you will be talking to?
Once again, I can't give you a composite number, but it is a lot of people. I mean, you're talking about Galamsey. It is all over the country. So many people are involved in it. And we are looking at the corruption and corruption-related aspects of it. You know, it's not, our mandate is not at large. Our mandate is in respect of corruption and corruption-related issues. So, as for the number of people, they may run even into the hundreds. And as I said, every single person is going to appear before us.
The numbers may run into the hundreds, but so far, about how many have you engaged?
Let me say tens.
Tens?
Mm-hmm. I'm intentionally being that way. Let me say tens. That's to tell you that several people have come since October last year. Since October last year. Mm-hmm. And some even come on their own accord. Without even being directed to show up. They show up because maybe they think that, for instance, they could be used as whistleblowers, or they could be used as confidential sources. But some show up without even being directed to come.
There's one of such situations that's already public. We knew of one situation that Contamani, they decided to come without you being inviting them or directing, as it were, for them to appear. And I thought the impression was that since you had not invited them, you turn them away.
No. No one is turned away. I mean, you see, it will be responsible to turn someone away. You may never know the information that the person has. And at the end of the day, you would have to then analyze things and weigh things and examine things as to the veracity of it and the probative value of it and all that, and then what to use the information for and how to treat the person who is bringing the information. So it's a whole gamut of investigations, and you don't have to cover things.
Can you explain to my viewers and listeners what you mean by you are only investigating an aspect and not the entire gamut of it? You are only investigating corruption and corruption-related offenses.
It is our mandate. We are a creature of law. The law created us, and the law gave us our powers and what we can do. The law says our mandate is in respect of corruption and corruption-related activities and offenses. And so, for instance, I cannot come after you if it is stealing. I cannot come after you if it is murder. You get it? Yeah. I cannot come after you if you were supposed to be granted a license, you didn't get a license, but then you went into the forest to do something. I'm looking at how you entered the forest and if there are any corruption-related activities which engineered your going into the forest. That is the aspect that the OSP looks at. Otherwise, we will be going over our mandate.
So if an individual, a company, entered a particular forest or land illegally, that will not be your mandate.
Our mandate will not be the illegality of his entry into the forest. Our mandate will be who allowed him to enter the forest, who was aware of this entry into the forest. How is it that a public institution or a state agency whose duty it is to ensure that people do not enter certain forests sat back for someone to enter the forest? Did money change hands? Was there some collusion? These are the things that we look at. So if we come to the conclusion that, or if our intel investigation tells us that someone was sleeping on the job, what caused the person to sleep on the job to allow this person to enter the forest? Maybe if it is willful sleeping. I saw you in there. I shut an eye as if I was asleep because maybe you have greased my palm to sleep. These are the things we look at. Corruption and corruption-related activities. Otherwise, I will be accused, and you will not hesitate to accuse me of overreaching. Yeah. So we stick to our mandate within the law.
Right. You mentioned specific issues of the activities and expenditure of the dissolved Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, especially in respect of seizure and management of excavators. We heard about some 500 excavators had been seized and somehow they went missing. Many Ghanaians have been really shocked at how such a miracle happens. Machinery, road vehicles, gold nuggets, and officials of the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, Forestry, and other public officials. Break down the extent of this to us. Let's understand. When you say excavators and their management, their seizure, vehicles, gold nuggets, what does that mean?
You see, there's a history to this. We all know, once again, how this Galamsey issue has been such a menace and such a pain to us, and we want it resolved. And we all know that at some point, the sitting president set up a committee to deal with this thing, which was called the Interministerial Committee Against Illegal Mining. Now, we also know that at some point, due to the problems associated with it, it was disbanded, it was dissolved.
That's right.
So the problems were still live and all over the place. Now, in our case, there's been allegations against these officers who sat at the Interministerial Committee. The head of the committee, the secretary to the committee, and other officers. And then the dealings of the committee were interfacing with those who were accused of being in the business of, or the adventure of illegal mining. And so this is the point we are coming from. Now, if the accusations against you that you seized excavators and you are unable to account for it, I won't sleep over it. I'll come after you. Now, if there are allegations against you that you seized gold nuggets belonging to someone, and as a public officer, you pocketed it, I won't sleep over it. I'm coming after you. The allegations that you mismanage the resources of the committee, I won't sleep over it. I'll come after you. At the end of the day, if I weigh the evidence against you and I come to the conclusion that there's nothing to it, then I let go. But in the middle of the investigation, in the course of the investigation, I treat everyone the same. Mind you, at the office of the special prosecutor, we do not consecrate saints. And let me make this very clear. No one is a saint to us. No one is an angel as far as we are concerned. When we start investigating a case, we're looking at everybody and everywhere. Now, you personally, as a member of the public, you may have your favorites. You may have those you think are so good and so consecrated saints that they become almost untouchable as far as you are concerned. I wish I were you to also have the luxury to consecrate someone or some persons as saints, in respect of which nothing should be done to them. But where I sit, I do not have that luxury to treat people as saints. And when saints are being consecrated, I don't get the memo. I am the conscience of the nation. I am the spirit of the nation. And the office is the conscience of the nation. The office is the spirit of the nation. Where we sit, we look at everybody in the same manner. And so when you appear before us, the nature of how you come to us is very crucial and is very, very important. And so I'm saying, if you are my confidential source, if you are my whistleblower, there's a way I will contact you. There's a way I will invite you. There's a way I'll talk to you, because I need information from you. But if you're appearing before me as a suspect, there is also a way. I do not invite you. I direct you to show up, because it is a criminal investigation. You are directed to show up. And in the direction to show up, you are specifically told what we are investigating and the subject matter of what we are investigating. And then, in the direction for you to come, we tell you that you are a person who is considered necessary for the investigation. And there's a specific direction for you to show up at a specific address for the interview. Then, you are told of your right. That you, when you're coming, you may come with the counsel of your choice. Now, if I see you as a whistleblower, I consider you as a confidential source. I will not be telling you that when you are appearing before me, come with your lawyer. Why would you need a lawyer if you are coming to divulge some information which I may be interested in? But immediately I tell you that you are directed to show up and that come with a lawyer, then you should know that you're a suspect. And that is what goes for everyone who appears before us in that scheme of affairs. Now, back to the specific question of illegal mining. There's so many aspects to it. Accusations, counter-accusations, all over the place. Now, are we saying that I should take Mr. A and strike him off and not ask him questions because some people consider Mr. A as a consecrated saint? I cannot do that.
So you say you speak to these classes of people and so on. So, for example, when you mention gold nuggets, if the ministerial committee that was responsible for clamping down on illegal mining does not make a report that the task force has seized gold nuggets and it cannot find it, how do you get in there? Who is complaining to you that gold nuggets have been seized, for which you go in zero in on such an activity?
You see, in our setup, we shouldn't be confused with some existing institutions. You know, the OSP is the first of its kind. We have never had an institution like the OSP in our history. Its powers are far-reaching and very biting indeed. And sometimes I have to restrain myself in order not to show my hand.
And that's deliberate for a purpose.
Yes, in
we
order
have
not
all come to a conclusion that the Attorney General, because it's a political office, cannot prosecute his own, and so on and so forth. I have personally spoken to former Attorney General who tell me that you can't say that I should prosecute my colleague that I sit in cabinet with. It won't happen.
Yes.
So we decide that we need a special prosecutor who has the independence, particularly of the tenure of office, so that nobody can remove you at their whim. So that's why you are there.
Yes.
Very special.
Yes. And you see, it dovetails into what I'm saying. It is a very unique institution with powers that people are now trying to understand. On so many occasions, people don't take their time to understand. I mean, you may have your opinion, you may talk about me, you may cast all manner of aspersions and vituperations at me. There are some in the system who have not been to law school before, but they think they know law better than law professors and Supreme Court judges. But that is aside. The thing with us, as I said, people should not confuse us with some existing institutions. We do not need specific complainants. Specific answer to your question. We do not need any specific complainants to move. Indeed, the law even says that just a newspaper publication, just an article someone put somewhere, just a suggestion someone may even put on Facebook or Twitter or something, should trigger our minds to start looking for things, to start investigating things. So where we sit, we do not need someone to specifically come to us complaining that this person sees my gold nugget and I can't find it. And newspaper publications all over the place, all over the years. And so we cannot be irresponsible and sit back without going after these things. Now, if the president establishes an interministerial committee, later on the president dissolves it, and there are all manner of allegations against this committee, this dissolved committee, we are already doing our investigations in respect of corruption and corruption-related matters regarding Galamsey. And then, an aspect of it, as you read from my publication, way back in October 2022, an aspect was the way this committee was handled and why it was dissolved, and the problems associated with this committee. Once again, I'll reiterate, every person who was an officer of this committee is my target. Because the allegations against this committee. And so, you do not cloak yourself with immunity, as far as I'm concerned, because someone puts out a report. That report comes to my attention. That is part of my investigation. But merely because someone puts out a report doesn't mean the person is then insulated from the process of the investigation. Now, at the end of the day, as I keep saying, I will then decide who to use as what. If at the end of the investigation, I decide that Samson, we should use Samson as, we decide that maybe we have to prosecute some people. And then I will decide the way this investigation went and the way the information came to us, let's use Samson as a prosecution witness. And we would approach you and see if we could use it as a prosecution witness. Or not necessarily because we think you haven't committed anything, but we think that maybe you are a smaller fish to catch a bigger fish. But in the middle of the investigation, when the investigation is so live and ongoing, everyone is fair game for us.
Right. In respect of that, actually, your provision on plea bargain actually gives you a lot of room to decide that somebody may be guilty, but they may be the better option to use to get better results than prosecuting them.
Right.
So you are targeting everyone who was a member of this committee and the people they would have worked with.
Yes.
In the public, when you talk about excavators, we know the issue of excavators that went missing was big. Now, we know there was one individual who was appointed to ferry the excavators from wherever they were found to a central point. We know there was an individual who allegedly gave out a statement, confessed statement, saying that he was receiving the monies and lodging them in bank accounts. So can we say that these people have also been investigated or are being investigated by you?
Samson, I'll repeat again. I said every one of those persons are suspects as far as we are concerned.
They have been arrested, they've been granted bail?
See, I told you that the numbers may run in the hundreds. I said that a few minutes ago. The numbers may run in the hundreds, and so far, those who have come before us are in the tens. So it is a list of people who are going to come one after the other. And you keep talking about arrest. Maybe I should go there. You keep talking about arrest. See, once again, the process is with us. We have full police powers. And people should notice this. Once again, I keep saying that as I withhold my hand so as not to be too biting. You see, sometimes you need information. And if you go too much of a Rambo style, you are not going to get the information that you want. And then again, which is much more important than even considerations of going Rambo style, is that when you're investigating people for corruption and corruption-related matters, their reputations are at stake.
That's correct.
And this is very vital. If you do not take it, you will stigmatize people unfairly. And so, check our record. Unless you give us a cause, a real cause, we won't even publish it out there that we directed you to show up at our end, unless you give us real cause. And when we direct you to come, and you come willingly, we do not publish anything about it, that this person showed up, this person hasn't showed up, this person, we do not do that. But of course, if you give us the cause, if you give us reasonable cause, we will come after you. So, now when we direct you, and you come before us, depending on the nature of the direction, that's what I was trying to explain. Depending on the nature of how we ask you to come, you should know that if you're directed to show up and then you are also told that you should come along with a lawyer of your choice, you are a suspect. And when you come and we interview you, we may ask you to write a statement or not. Now we may ask you to write an ordinary statement. If you're writing an ordinary statement, then it means that at that stage, we are still considering whether indeed you are in the big leagues, or we should treat you as a, maybe we have invited you as a suspect. But in the course of the interrogation, the course of the interview, we may weigh and come to the conclusion at the end that no, this person, let's take an ordinary statement from him and let's see how things go from there. Maybe it can become a confidential source or some form of a whistleblower. But at the end of the day's interview, if we ask you to write a caution statement, or we go beyond to ask you to write, and we take a charge statement from you, automatically you will need bail. These are the processes.
Right.
These are the regular administrative processes we follow through. As I said, mind you, we have full police powers. So just imagine going to a police station and being quizzed, and then you being requested to post bail. It is not out of the ordinary.
We will shortly go into the matters specific regarding Professor Frimpong Boateng, and I suppose that as you listen to the Special Prosecutor Kissi Agyebeng, you may be getting some explanations to how he may have been dealt with and your concerns about how he was dealt with already, but we'll put those questions specific to him. Now, when I mention excavators, because excavators became a very big issue in this country, and there were people known, including party executives of the NPP, who were at the front. Can you confirm to Ghanaians that those who were accused in respect of the missing excavators, you have dealt with them or you are dealing with them?
You are making me repeat myself. I'm saying that every single person, some have come, some we are after. I said, okay, you see, the problem here is that it is a live investigation, and that is why I'm being a little closed up with stating names.
We know
like
some that's already in the public domain.
That's why I do not want to state names.
Ekwewusi is a regional party chairman, who was at the center of the missing excavators issue. Has the special prosecutor dealt with him in any way?
Oh yes. See,
you have.
If person who is complaining now as being victimized hadn't come out himself to say he was being victimized, you wouldn't have known that he had come to us, right? Because the person who is complaining now specifically chose to go to the media and say this and that and that and that. It is when we haven't actually put out anything about anybody, and once again, as I keep telling you, that people's reputations are at stake. If you should take care not to stigmatize people unnecessarily. When we get to a certain threshold, and we are ready to come out with our investigation report and the consequential actions we will take further, then names will be mentioned.
You are many bound by law to furnish us that information at a certain time.
So far, I think we've published two investigation reports. At the end of the day, names were mentioned. At the end of the day, the special prosecutor gave further directives. This should be done, this should be done, this should be done, that should be done. We haven't gotten to that stage yet with respect to this investigation. That is why I am not giving out names. You see,
so
if those who have appeared before us, like the man who's complaining, start talking about they appeared before us, they appeared before us. Then you will know the kind of people who have appeared before us. And those who are in line to appear before us, mind you, I said, they may number in the hundreds.
Right. So without mentioning names once again, about how many of these people who have appeared before you would have been arrested, so to speak, and are on bail?
Once again, let's go back to our processes. When you come in, and then at the end of the interview for that day, you give us cause that, we were right in our estimation that we should treat you as a suspect and that we should caution you or charge you. We will do so. And as I said, automatically then you have to post bail. Everybody knows this. Every lawyer knows this. You have to post bail. And if you're posting bail, it means that automatically you are in the pot, in the process. You get it? Yeah. And so it is not a question of as if it is being made to sound as if someone stormed someone's premises and uprooted them from somewhere a few days.
So there are many of those involved in this investigation who have been, quote unquote, arrested, who have been treated as suspects, who have been cautioned and are on bail.
Yes.
Many.
And the tens. So again, I keep telling you, in the tens. And eventually, the numbers may run in the hundreds.
Okay. We are having a conversation with a special prosecutor, and we will get straight to this one. Listen to Professor Frimpong Boateng.
I don't know the legal definition. Maybe yes, but maybe not. I'm on bail. So the background is that I think on the 13th or 14th of May, I received a letter from the special prosecutor to appear before him. I should report at 10 a.m. on the 16th of May, which I did. the letter said that they were investigating corruption and corruption-related activities of the IMCIM. I was a little bit disturbed.
And ICIM is Inter-Ministerial Committee Against Illegal Mining.
Yes. I thought that they were going to talk about how to stop Galamsey and all these things. But anyway, so I went there and waited at the lobby. When my lawyer was in, we were ushered to the 7th floor where the office of the special prosecutor was. I was ushered into a room, given a seat, and next to me, on my right, were my lawyers, and opposite me was the senior, or the principal investigator, I think that was the title, and some officers from that office. So as soon as I sat down, the chief investigator walked over to me, put his left hand on my shoulder and said, "You are under arrest." I said, "Why am I under arrest? What are my charges?" Well, no specific charges, but we are investigating corruption and corruption-related activities of the IMCIM, that is the committee I chaired. And he asked whether I was ready to answer some questions. I said, well, I'll do my best to answer the questions. So I was asked a lot of questions. Took about 2 hours, or a little bit over 2 hours. And after that, I was told that I had to be bailed before I'll be released. I was not offered the opportunity of self-recognizance bail. So a friend of mine was at the lobby, so he came up and bailed me, and I left. And I was told that if the need arose, I'll be invited back to the office. So that's what happened. And of course, some officers from the OSPs went to see my friend's place where he was staying to make sure that if I absconded, they will be able to get rid of my friends to produce me before the court. Yeah. So this is what happened.
What was the sum, the bill sum, the conditions attached to it?
I was told 2 million cedis or so, if I'm not mistaken. 2
million cedis. Did they also send a team to your house?
No, they did not come to my house.
But they verified the residential address of your friend who had bailed you out. Okay. And the questions that they asked you, what did it relate to?
Related to everything that we did at the IMCIM, but I'm not sure whether I can go over those questions because this is a prosecutor, they're investigating, and I don't feel comfortable, going over the questions. So if you will permit me, let's. But it was a broad-based question, a lot of questions on many topics, and I answered as best as I could, and so that was it.
That's Professor Frimpong Boateng speaking to Evans Mensah on Thursday night about his circumstance when it became public and widespread that he had been arrested by the special prosecutor. Now, first of all, to start with, people are justifiably unhappy. You don't consecrate saints, as you say. In law school, one of the basic things they teach us is that even if you are told this is from the Pope, verify. So, how does it happen that a patriot of the stature of Professor Frimpong Boateng, the first is an African to have done heart surgery, came back to his country, used his own resources to set up the cardiothoracic center that today no one individual can boast to have done better than he has done. Just yesterday, the German embassy here acknowledged him. They rewarded him. How come that such a man is put under arrest by your office? He's put through interrogation for over 2 hours or so, and he's not deserving of self-recognizance bail. People can't understand that. He has become our hero in this country as far as the fight against Galamsey is concerned.
Samson, I respect the credentials of the professor, and I doff off my hat to him. You know very well, you know me personally, you know very well how and my life's trajectory. on another score. I'm an academician myself, and so I respect such people on all scores. I mean, his CV is unbelievable. I respect that, and I applaud him for that. But I have a charge to keep. The charge I have to keep is to the Republic of Ghana and to the public. I have been put in this position to investigate corruption and corruption-related offenses. I've been put in this office to prosecute people who I deem to be culpable for such offenses. I have been put in this office to recover assets for the country. I have been put in this office to prevent corruption. These are the 4 tasks that I have until August 2028. Now, when a case comes before me, first, it's a preliminary investigation. I go under with my officers. Is there any substance to this matter? I'm answering your question. I'll come to it.
Sure.
Is there any substance to this matter? Now, when the preliminary investigation is over, I have certain options. One option is to say, there's no meat in this matter. Let us just file it away. Maybe one day it may not be cold. Another option open to me is that there is a lot of wisdom in opening a full investigation, and so we should do a broader and fuller inquiry into this matter. And this is where we are in terms of the fight against Galamsey. Now, when you're appearing before us, depending on what we deem to be the charges we are envisaging against you, depending on the nature of the evidence and what we deem to be the seriousness of it, we take action appropriately. I will state again, the public and any member of the public has the luxury to consecrate saints. But in consecrating your saints and your heroes, mind you again, I'm stating again, I am your conscience. I am the spirit of the nation, and the office stands for that. In the estimation of the office, there are no saints. In the estimation of the office, there are no heroes. Now, if I approach this job of fighting corruption, that there are some persons in the society who have attained the status of sainthood, we will lose the fight against corruption.
I think the argument is not that.
I'm coming there.
The argument is not that don't investigate such people, but your approach would be different.
Yes, I'm coming there.
If Professor Frimpong Boateng cannot attract self-recognizance bail, who else in this country will be deserving?
You see, it is coming back to what I keep saying. You have your saints. I don't have saints. In your estimation, the man is a saint. But from my angle, I treat no one as a saint. A lot of allegations, a lot of complaints. I am investigating a broad gamut of issues when it comes to Galamsey. The professor was the man in charge of this dissolved committee. The committee, as far as we're concerned, and the nature of the investigation we are engaged in right now, so the committee was at odds and they couldn't account for so many things. Now, if you sit where I sit, it's not everything that I can reveal at this stage. If you sit where I sit and you take away the emotions from it and you examine the issues before you, you have some very painful pills to swallow. And you may offend people. Mind you, you remember the La Bianca case? It was such a fury, as if I had killed someone. Because one of the persons involved was a member of the Council of State. And it was unheard of. That was a member of the Council of State. And what am I doing? You remember, chiefs in a certain traditional area sat and vilified me as if I was Satan's son himself.
Because obviously she's a financier of some of these chiefs. She has built mansions there.
I wouldn't know that. But from my estimation, I'm engaged in an investigation. And at that time, I considered whoever it was as a suspect. You get me? No one who has appeared before me and gone through these processes is left to go like that without us verifying some things.
Is there anyone targeted by the office as far as this investigation is concerned who has left your office on bail on self-recognizance?
No.
Not one?
Not one. And on this matter, no one is going to. The allegations are too far-reaching. The allegations are so serious. Once again, I'll keep saying, and at the risk of repeating myself.
To the extent that Prof cannot be an exception.
See. You may consider it so. But what I have before me and the nature of the things I'm dealing with, once again, as I said, I cannot reveal. One day, if I don't act well, you are the same people who come at me in the middle of the investigation. Why were you giving some people preferential treatment whilst others were not being given preferential treatment? The video you played, the prof said something. So no one came to his house. It should tell you something. That, of course, there are gradations of how we treat some people in respect of how we perceive them. If we perceive you to be such a flight risk, we'll probably be sleeping in your house with you. You get me? And so even there, it should tell you that the status of a person and perhaps his ranking in society would tell me and to instruct my officers that for such a person, what are you going to his house to do? We all know where the house is situated. Why are you going to disturb the peace in the house and all that? Shouldn't that be a feather?
Some even feel that over 2 hours of interrogation, you have decided your office to call it interview. You don't want to use the word interrogation.
No. Something is the law that puts it.
That's embarrassing.
That's embarrassing. What if I recall him? Will it be embarrassing? What if we get to a point of the investigation, and we may get there, that I may need to recall him? Would that be embarrassing? Would I be responsible? Would I be performing my duty well to say that someone comes to the office and a fact file in respect of the person, and we question the person for 5 minutes and let the person go? Shouldn't we get to the bottom of what happened in respect of Galamsey and what is happening? When I was being vetted, how many hours did I spend on the chair, even to go to the loo to perform number 1? How many hours was I on the job? Because the Appointments Committee of Parliament realized that it was a very grave national matter they were dealing with, and so when they are vetting you, they will not just spend 5 or 10 minutes with you. We are investigating a matter. It could have even been more than 2 hours. And in all these things, sometimes it depends on the answers the person gives to you. If the person comes and says, "Oh, this is what we do, this and that," for instance, when the professor was coming to us, we specifically asked that he should bring some documents. Of course, the investigators would then have to go through, okay, what documents have been brought, what report was generated, what's this, that alone. How many minutes will it take? You see, do not let us.
Listening to him through in the interview, it sounded as though he didn't have a full picture of what you needed him to do at your place.
Oh, you see, in fairness to everybody involved, even when you are sued and there's a statement of claim served on you, sometimes you do not appreciate 100% what is going on till we get to the point of interrogatories and exchange of documents and all that, and the evidence starts pouring in. So in fairness, I will admit to that even us, sometimes you don't even know exactly where you're getting into until you start questioning. And then maybe one answer leads to another. And so, appearing before us, you won't have a feel of 100% the entirety of what is going on. But we do not surprise you. We do not surprise you.
You did not?
We do not surprise you. We tell you specifically that this is what we are investigating in respect of you. That corruption and corruption-related offences in respect of this and this and this matter. And at the risk of going too much into this matter, it was very specific. The activities of the Inter-Ministerial Committee on Illegal Mining. And you are the head. You get me?
And
you were the head of
specific documents that he was supposed to furnish you with.
Well, in respect of that, I don't really recall the exact wording of the letter, but I'm just saying the professor was asked to bring the documents in respect of the work of the administrator. See, it may be that he doesn't have any documents. It may be that they are in an archive somewhere. It would then be our duty then to go for these documents. But I'm saying that he may be a hero in certain quarters. And once again, I said, I respect his credentials. But I cannot let someone's credentials chill me
But the next
from
place,
doing
the next
a job.
place I'm getting to is
Yes.
this. People are concerned, and reasonably, genuinely so, that how come his arrest did not happen at any time between October 2022, when you announced that you are investigating these matters, but only after he had authored a report which became public, in which report he had named a number of people. And the public doesn't get the sense that the people he named are being investigated just like him.
Samson, I'll repeat again. I've stated this. Had he not come out to grant interviews, had he not come out to say this, that, no one would have even known. He showed up. You know, when this should I say furor commenced, people actually thought it happened a few days ago. I'm sure you even thought, oh, it happened that day.
Very day, on the Thursday.
It was weeks ago.
On the 16th.
Yes, weeks ago.
Of May.
Yes, weeks. Today is the 10th of June. It was weeks ago when he appeared. He attended the office of the special prosecutor. As I said, I keep talking about this.
A media house made a publication before we heard his voice. Is that not what happened? How did this get leaked if what you do is to protect your as it were, subjects, so that there's no prejudice against them, as you said?
I'm not pointing fingers at people. But sometimes people come to us. We haven't said anything. They go out and there are media people waiting for them, as if they brought them. Come talk to them. Listen to what I'm not saying on this matter, not what I'm saying. Listen to what I haven't said, not what I have said. Sometimes, when you direct people to come, they actually come with media people in the background. Immediately they come out. All of a sudden, from my perch in the office, I see everything, have a panoramic view of everything happening. All of a sudden, media people will just show up on the grounds there, and then they are talking to the media. Once again, I'm saying, listen to what I haven't said. It may be very, very instructive. You see, now to your question, the specific question you asked. I also have a question. What time is the right time for me to direct the head of this dissolved committee to attend to us, to answer questions? What time is the right time? I would say that this was a luckless coincidence. Luckless coincidence. And I'm saying a luckless coincidence because of the events of the past few days. That's all. What time is a good time? I told you that...
You seem to suggest the time was not the best because of what has happened after their arrest.
I'm saying that because of the events of the past few days, people think that the timing was not good. I don't see it that way. And that is why I'm asking that question. What time is the best time? And because of the events of the past few days, that is why I'm characterizing this timing as a luckless coincidence. So I'm only saying that it is just a coincidence. And that, once again, every person who had dealings with this committee, every person they dealt with, every person who has a complaint against them is showing up before us. Told you, it's a list of people. Once again, I'll state, had the professor not come out to grant interviews, you wouldn't have known that he had come to us weeks ago. Now go back and check our record, at least since I became special prosecutor from August 2021. I don't put out these things. Unless you give me cause. For instance, we've directed you to show up and you are not showing up. I could declare you a wanted person if we cannot
like
locate you.
The case of Charles Bisu, who has been trying to fight your invitation in the court, and we learned on Friday, is it that there was an arrest warrant, which his lawyer has said he will not attend, he will not honor.
Oh, you want me to respond to that? I'm not going to. I mean, you know me very well. I don't engage in legal debates like that with people who defend people who come before me. I mean, you're at liberty to sit in the comfort of your office and elevate yourself into the law. But of course, you know, your client may eventually suffer the consequences of your actions.
What his lawyer has been saying in the public lends credence to the complaints and helps people to say, okay, it may be the case that in your office, you are doing things in, as he said, military manner, not consistent with the Constitution. That's what his lawyer has been saying in the media. And I was surprised to hear that, and will be very shocked to confirm that, because I remember that there were situations that we had to attend to BNI for our clients, and they were breaching the law, and you were livid about it.
Oh, not too long ago, I even complained about the fact that the picture was taken. Someone also showed up and said, oh, kudos to the Office of the Special Prosecutor, the way we respect the rights of those who show up before us. We are very transparent. We are very plain. Everyone who comes there is treated with utmost respect. How many institutions will write you such a nice letter, directing you to come, showing you where to come and you don't keep people there unnecessarily time they are
What about a nice letter if it's a direction that you don't have a choice?
Oh, that was a joke. That was a joke.
Yes, because if you don't honor it, there are consequences to that.
Yes, that was a joke.
Which means you will actually move in there and arrest.
And that's why I'm saying that if you follow your lawyer sitting in his office, a lawyer who arrogates to himself the powers of the law, and sit in office and you follow the lawyer in respect of these things, and we ask you to show up and you don't show up, there are legal consequences to pay. And mind you, your lawyer will not be paying those consequences. It is you who will be paying those consequences. But something, we do not conduct ourselves in a military style. I'm only saying, if you give us the cause, we will come for you. If you give us the cause, we will storm your premises. But we hardly ever do that. And I have been at pains to explain that I withhold my hand so as not to show the power too much. I withhold my hand. And we treat people with civility. It is all because of the reputations of people. You might stigmatize them. You might destroy their reputations. And that is why when the professor was directed to show up, we didn't say anything. My intel tells me he published the direction right upon receipt, but we didn't say anything. Have you checked our records from the past 2 years since or so since I became a special prosecutor? We don't announce left, right, center. This person has been arrested. This person has been arrested. This person. We don't do that. We don't do that. And let us say, for the sake of argument, that the office has gone for an arrest warrant from the court. Is that the military style we're talking about? Let's just say, for the sake of argument, that is what the office did. Shouldn't the office rather be applauded that we are following legal processes? Is that military style? In some sense.
My guest is Kissi Agyebeng, who is a special prosecutor, and we are ending this interview shortly. I want to welcome your questions, those that you would normally share with us through your Twitter handle and other means. Share them, and I'll put one or two of such questions to him, and then we will be done with this encounter. There are those, and you acknowledge that in the course of this week, there are people who have come at you really very hard, and there are suggestions that you have had a friendship with the president's cousin, Gabia Sarotredako, and so people should not be surprised about the timing, that because he's falling out with the government, there is a plan to embarrass him.
Is that so? It's very preposterous. Very preposterous. See, something I said at my vetting, July 2021. I was asked about political interference. I said something. I said, I do not fear political interference because no one would dare it with me. I was talking as a person for myself and the institution I had. I do not fear political interference because no one would dare it with me. And having a president who is a first-rate lawyer, having an attorney general who is a first-rate lawyer, they wouldn't even try it. I said that. Or words to that effect during my vetting. And I knew where my Achilles heel may come from. And that's one to admit it to Parliament and to the public, that what I feared most was interference or likely interference from chiefs, likely interference from pastors and religious persons. These were the kind of interferences that I feared. I knew. I'm a traditional man myself. I could be chief of my town. And if the overlord of Kwewu, if the Kwewu invites me to show up at a Benin on a Saturday morning, especially when it is Dapa, who am I to say I won't show up on the traditional level? Who am I to show up to say I won't show up? And if the Kwewu tells me that our nephew, this matter and that matter, and then they are pouring libation and all that, and you are also a traditional man, you are sitting there. Those are the kind of incantations that I could be afraid of. And so when I came in, I had to go around and tell some of these chiefs that, please, let us drink on it and let us pour libation, that you will never call me in respect of anybody. Now back to this matter. I said it was preposterous. It is preposterous because, see, the OSP, at least since I have been in charge of it, is not a weapon for settling scores. The OSP does not settle scores. The OSP does not settle scores on behalf of people and for people. You think no one offended me before I became the special prosecutor? Why then don't I use my power and go back and start making a list of all the people who crossed me or the people who fell out of favor with me, and I start going after them? That is not how you conduct business. That is not how you do things. And I do not live in isolation. Yes, I've had friends. Yes, I have friends. I keep saying, anytime I get opportunity, the Honorable Attorney General is a friend of mine. He is my mate. You know very well. We sat together in the same class for a long time, and we had association for a very long time. But that doesn't mean I'm going to settle scores for any named individual. Now, if you have your fight with someone in court, that is your kettle of fish. And something. It is because of such suggestions. That's why I characterize the timing as a luckless, one of luckless coincidence. Maybe if on my list in October 2022, I had called the professor first on my list, we won't be saying this, would we? Or if I had waited, and then in December 2023, if we are still in the course of the investigation, I had called him, we won't be talking about this, would we? But God forbid that I will be used to settle scores on behalf of someone or another. The government of the day does not and cannot instruct me to go after people or to embarrass them. No one has even tried that before.
What I'll ask now, perhaps before you take leave of us, will be that people are surprised that you don't seem to have paid attention to a ruling of the SHRAJ, Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, that cleared Professor Frimpong Boateng of any wrongdoing as far as, these Galamsey matters are concerned. In that report, there were 3 specific allegations that were made against him. First, that he was involved in a company that is a Symphony. He was involved in that company, which was involved in Symphony Limited, which was involved in illegal mining, and that they had also not paid, certain levies that were to be paid to the state, totaling in excess of 200 and something United States dollars. But the commission found that the claims were untrue, except one partial observation that it made, that in the declaration of his asset, he was not sufficiently clear about the company, even though he had also declared some of that. He and his wife established the company, sometimes in 2009 or so, and then subsequently they divested themselves of it. They gave their shares of 60,000, 40,000 to one Yao Badu, and then his son Jojo is also involved. But subsequently the company took on, they actually said the company had been registered not to do mining, but it was involved in mining. And SHRAJ found that later the company, as it were, amended its regulations to be able to do mining. And by the time all that was happening, Professor Frimpong Boateng and the rest were not involved. The question has been that, why didn't you pay attention to this to know that this man, has an uncontestable reputation and that he hasn't done anything wrong at all?
Samson, I'll say again, maybe for the 10th time, no one has an uncontestable reputation as far as I'm concerned. If I sit as a special prosecutor and regard people as having uncontestable reputations, then we will lose the fight against corruption. Now, 2 things. SHRAJ, they are partners. We work together in tandem on so many of these matters. And in respect of one major ongoing case, the body of evidence that we use, 99% of the body of evidence that we're using came from SHRAJ, because SHRAJ had done some work on it before. Whatever SHRAJ is doing, we pay attention to what SHRAJ is doing. Whatever we're doing, SHRAJ pays attention to it. But you see, and this is where the story ends, SHRAJ does not have the mandate to do criminal investigations. SHRAJ may be doing it for some other reasons. In our case, merely because SHRAJ has done some investigation, it may be abuse of office, it may be conflict of interest and all that, does not prevent us from doing a criminal investigation. Ours is a criminal investigation, and that is what we're doing. And you see, all the key findings that you're talking about, do they look familiar to what we are doing? They don't. What we are investigating, you can tell, it's totally different from what SHRAJ did. We have paid attention to it. We have looked at it. Indeed, if we find other matters which then requires us to go to Shraj, to dig further into these aspects, we will. But this is a totally different thing.
Okay.
From what we are investigating.
And I'll confess with you that I'm hosting you and doing an interview not for myself but for the public.
Oh, I know.
I've read the Shraj 117-page report, and the issues raised there are not about corruption or corruption related. They are first that he has breached a provision of the Constitution about the conduct of public officers. That's not the mandate of the OSP. The questions of not paying what they should have paid, which was actually found to be less to be paid, even though circumstances show that paying it is not fair to the company, the Symphony Limited. They have nothing to do with the OSP's mandate. But like I said, the show is not for me, but it's for the public.
And I got that very clear.
So as you take leave of us, we want to know just how soon will this be over? Because you indicated to us you have started investigations as far back as October 2022.
Samson, before I answer your question, I have a curious request. Can you play whatever tune it is for me before I answer this question? Yanara Assassin.
That's a deep thing to play. Let's have it. All right, there you have it.
Thank you very much. I cannot give you a specific time frame. Indeed, this is one of the most tasking investigations we have ever thrown ourselves into. It spans from the northern borders all the way to the coast and the width of the country. It is so far-reaching. It is unbelievable. And so, as I said, we are leaving no stone unturned. I was at pains to remind civil society and the public, beginning of last month, that, please, we said we were doing it. So if you are telling us to investigate, we already said in October that we're doing it. So yes, we are very aware of what we're doing and we're doing it. I wish I could give you a specific time frame, but we are doing all that we can to come up with a workable investigation report and to see what further steps we can take from that. It is very, 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 very dear to our hearts. When we fly about, you see the water bodies. When we go to our hometowns, you see the devastation and all that. None of us wants this. And once again, I'll ask the public. We spoke on the last day of 2022. I remember we spoke. And I asked the question. And I'm being prompted to ask the question again. Are we ready to fight corruption? Samson, remember that question? Are we ready to fight corruption?
The public is also interested. Is your office equipped to do this job? Because as we already know, you don't have the necessary tools that you need, the full complements of what you need. And that's the concern of others. So some even suggest that a commission may go into this rather than leaving it to the special prosecutor because of how wide it is.
See, these are policy considerations. I'm not to answer these questions. But in respect of the resources of the office and funding of the office, it's a work in progress. Mind you, we are a young institution, and so we keep building every day. We keep building the institution, and you know, I keep telling my directors and other senior officers that I wish I became special prosecutor after this term. Do you get me? I wish I had become special prosecutor after the expiration of this present term, because the one who becomes special prosecutor after me, he will not have teething problems. I have teething problems, but he will not. By the time he comes, there will be more established processes and all that in place. But Samson, this question is very, very dear to my heart, and we should all, and that is why I asked for this. That's why I made this curious request that Yanara Assassin will be played for me. This is very dear to my heart. Are we ready to fight corruption? If we are ready to fight corruption, can we allow the institution that has been set up to fight corruption, can we not consecrate people as saints and hand them over to the special prosecutor? That's as far as we are concerned. This is a list of the saints that have been consecrated in our land, and these people cannot be questioned. These people cannot be considered as persons of interest to you, no matter what. Can we not do that?
Where corruption fights those who fight corruption,
and even very much
some of us who do the very small things we do by way of fighting corruption, our lives are not spared. We are in danger.
I know very much. So I am the person with the highest risk.
That's right.
In this land, I'm the person with the highest risk because of what I do. But I'm asking again, and the reason why I keep asking this question, especially on 31st December of last year, is that you see, it is as if when I have been using you as an example all this while, let me keep using as an example.
And I've just been praying that I don't find myself at your premises, because myself, my brand and even my worth will not qualify me for a self-recognizance bill. I'm dead.
It depends on what I consider the circumstances to be. In the general scheme of affairs, that is what will tell me whether, in respect of this matter, it should be this or it should be that. Okay. Once again, I keep saying I will be irresponsible if I don't consider these things and start giving out automatic exeats. See, I was saying, let me use it as an example. Let's say Samson comes out tomorrow to say, oh, he was arrested after the program on Saturday by the special prosecutor. The people who like you, the people who are fond of you, the people who are your, let me say, fans, the way they will come after me, the way they insult and vilify me. Tomorrow, let me turn and say, oh, your producer, he is to report at my place to answer some questions. Then all of us, let's say you have issues with your producer. Let's say you have issues with your producer. The people who like you, your fans, they will be agog in happiness, in praises of the special prosecutor, because, oh, he's going after Samson's producer. Now, Samson, the fans or the followers of Samson's producers would then be going, how dare the special prosecutor? How dare he come after him? That's what's going on. But once again, I'm saying, let me keep my mandate and my duty as the conscience of the nation to rise above those who have been made saints, those who have been declared holy, those who have been declared untouchable. I'll end by saying, as far as the office of the special prosecutor is concerned, no one is a saint.
Okay.
No one.
Thank you very much. Kissi Agyebeng is the special prosecutor of the Republic of Ghana, and this has been an exclusive with him. I've got other guests that we are going to interact with shortly, but let me share a few of your messages with you. Fat Joe El Rich says, is it true that the OSP published a report claiming the professor had been, okay, you joined us late, had been arrested and granted bail as claimed by the professor in the interview? I haven't heard the professor say that OSP made a publication. Now, in Kwame Nkrumah says, Mr. Kissi Agyebeng, watching Mr. Kissi Agyebeng critically for the very first time, I'm beginning to like him. He exudes some confidence that kind of reassures me he wants to do the right thing. However, as to whether he will succeed or will be allowed is another thing. Results are everything. But Vida, is it, or Vida? Kindly ask the special prosecutor, would it be a good choice for transparency's sake that he holds monthly, quarterly briefings for the nation about the progress of his work? The law that sets him up mandates him to provide us with, is it, quarterly reports, statutorily. And if you go to their website, you will see some of them. Half yearly reports, correct? Half yearly report. That's section 2 thereabout. This one says something. Kindly ask Mr. Kissi Agyebeng whether he thinks he has the support and all the necessary logistics to fight corruption under, okay, the manner in which you're concluding it, it's not nice. Let's not be insulting the president for no reason at this point in time as we discuss these matters. Then Professor Ransford Jampo says, as you may know, I have criticized Kissi Agyebeng over the last week, but listening to him, I fully understand him. But he must still tone down while going about his work without compromise. His body language can be better. Or I don't get it when you say tone down because he's not been speaking. So anyway, right. So I think we'll pause here and let the special prosecutor take leave of us, and I'll return to host my other guest. This is Reverend Father Dieudonné. He says that thank you for the educative interview with the OSP. Thank you very much. And I have discovered the key to ending the Galamsey menace. I'm serious about that. I'm not joking. I've discovered the key.
So maybe I should be inviting you.
I've discovered the key. And the key is very simple. You know, if you go to, is it Adamasu and something, the other name, is it the towns where the Professor Frimpong Boateng Sons Company is involved, was giving a concession, but was never able to mine. If you go to that place, there are reports, even including from Professor Frimpong Boateng's son, Jojo, who was the chief executive of the company. Since 2012 or 2014, up to 2017, 2019, to the last day that Shraj was investigating the matter, they had concessions, but they could not mine. Do you know why? The people refused them. They said they do cashew, they do cocoa, and they are farmers in Brong-Ahafo. So there was a chief who actually tried to give support, and that's a legal support because they had all the licenses. The chief tried to give support to the company. That chief was destitute. The Queen Mother, other chiefs, the assemblymen, almost all the assemblymen were interviewed, and they insisted that they drove the people away. At the end, they wrote to the government seeking a government intervention with security to go to the place so that they can mine lawfully. The people still resisted. They say, you got the licenses from Accra. We are here. We say you will not mine. They were unable to mine one prospect, one small gold in that area. The ministerial committee never found the need to go to that place because there was no mining going on there. There was no illegal mining going on there. I think the people of that town and their leaders need to be rewarded for how they have fought it. Albeit the people had the legal licenses and they didn't allow them. Thank you very much. We'll be right back.